for the first time ever, long overdue. There he is, your boy Eryk Anders joining us. Eryk, how are you? Are you I couldn't hear what you had to say there. I'll try that again. Are you in bed right now, Eryk?
No, I'm just in the room, kind of isolated from the rest of the family.
Okay.
Conversation.
I feel you and I appreciate it. You're in Brazil right now. Where in Brazil are you?
I'm in Curitiba.
And why are you in Curitiba?
Me and the wife, this is where she's from. My wife is Brazilian, obviously, and we had this vacation planned. And then, after I fought my last fight against Marcus Perez, I really wasn't quite expecting to get the news that fast that Lyoto accepted the fight and we were going to fight in February. So, went ahead and got on the plane anyways. Been doing some training since I've been down here, and everything pretty much normal, just in a different country.
Did you meet your wife as a result of martial arts?
Kind of. We have a mutual friend through jiu-jitsu. We both live in Birmingham, Alabama, and the jiu-jitsu community is really small, and especially the Brazilian community is really small. So I ran into her through a mutual friend, and we've been together ever since.
Awesome. That's great. So after your recent win, you just fought a couple weeks ago. We talk about this all the time, taking advantage of the mic time. You had a name, you shot your shot, and they came back with the big fish. It's amazing. Did you think that would actually work? Like, did you really think that you would get this fight?
If not Lyoto, I was really hoping for a top 20, top 15 guy. So, they granted my wish, and I plan on taking full advantage of that come February.
There are some people who say, and even I will admit, when I heard this, I was like, man, Eryk Anders, youngster, he's blowing through people, knocking people out. Maybe this isn't the smartest fight for Lyoto. It's not necessarily like the Borrachinha versus Johnny Hendricks fight, but it kind of reminds me of that, like almost trying to, build a star off another star. Are you surprised that he said yes to this fight?
Man, Lyoto's a legend in the game, and I've never heard of him turning down fights, and not surprised. He's a professional, and he's he's a little old, but he's still crafty. He's got a lot of cage time. He's fought some of the best in the world, former champ. So maybe he's looking to get back in the win column.
Is there a specific reason why you chose him? Why you asked for him?
Not really. I just knew they had a fight coming up in Brazil, in Belem, where he's from. And I love the hostile environment. I can't wait to hear the Brazilians chant "Vamos Hey" as I'm walking out to the cage. Man, I think that's really gonna get me crunk out there.
Do you speak Portuguese?
Pouquinho.
Okay.
My wife, she's trying to teach me. I'm not the fastest learner in the world, so she's been very patient with me.
I don't know if news traveled to Curitiba, but are people coming up to you and talking to you about, do people recognize you and know that you're fighting there, in Brazil in a couple of months?
Well, I just, earlier today, I trained at the Gracie Baja, one of the Gracie Bajas down here, and they all know who I was. And, I try to keep it low key,
Yeah.
I didn't want, I don't want anybody trying to beat me up while I'm down here. So, but they were all very respectful, polite, and, worked with me a lot. So, I don't know if they're necessarily pulling for me to win, but at the same time, they treated me very kind.
This is all kind of happening very fast. I mean, you made your debut in July on short notice, and then, of course, earlier this month, you followed that up with a win. You retired Rafael Natal, essentially. And now here you are main eventing a show in Brazil against the former champion, a legend, Lyoto Machida. Is this happening faster than you thought it would? I mean, I know you're not in your 20s anymore, but still, I mean, as far as the UFC is concerned, you're still a rookie, right? You're still in your first year. Is this all kind of surreal? What's happened to you here that you're in the main event against Lyoto Machida in a couple of months?
I mean, not surreal. It is happening kind of fast, but like you said, I'm on the other side of 30, so I don't really think that I have too much time left. So, let's go out here, shoot these jump shots, and, they keep, as long as they keep going in, we'll be okay.
What do you mean too much time left? I mean, do you have an end date already in sight?
Not really, but 35 is kind of when that window starts to shut a little bit. So I don't want to be one of those guys who goes out there and gets knocked out 10 times in a row or whatever. So
Sure.
I definitely have an ending, and have starting to develop multiple streams of revenue. So I don't have to fight until I'm 40 years old. So everything's coming together as I planned it. So 35 is kind of the time when I want to get out of the game.
Like what? Like what are your other streams of revenue right now?
Through sponsorships, me and my wife, we started to flip houses, and the end game is to open up my own gym and run that and facilitate that. And I think that'd just be a little bit too difficult to train, get people in the door, and fight at the same time. So kind of set myself up for that at the end.
Do you feel the effects at all? I mean, of course, anytime anyone talks about you, they talk about your football career, great career at Alabama. You played football, throughout your life leading up until that point. Do you feel the effects of football? Like, do you feel like you've taken some years off your career because you were involved in such a brutal sport leading up to your MMA career?
No, not at all. My body, this is the best my body has felt since I started playing football. We train pretty intelligently at the gym that I train at in Birmingham, Spartan Fitness. We only spar once or twice a week. A lot of drilling, not really damaging my body. Football, it's a collision every play, car wreck every play. But now my body, one, I don't have to lift all those weights and eat all that food. It's kind of the opposite, right? When I was in college, my back always hurt, my knees always hurt from bearing all the weight and the hits and whatnot. But now that I'm doing MMA, my body has never felt better. I'm walking around at more of a natural weight. My diet's much better. And the way we train, I'm not going to, I can go forever if I wanted to.
How much did you weigh in college?
The biggest I ever got was about 250.
Wow. And now, of course, you fight at 185.
That was college. Yeah.
Wow.
But like I said, they have you, it's like they put you on like a catfish diet. Eat everything in sight. I was eating pizzas, at 12 o'clock, before I went to bed, eating ice cream at like 2 a.m. Anything to put on size. And, that's not even necessarily the best way to do it. But now it's the opposite. I eat at certain times, eat much better foods, run. My body is just in much better condition than it's ever been.
Does a part of you wish that you got into MMA sooner, that you never went down the football route?
I really don't get into that because you really can't change the past. I enjoy and love MMA much more than I ever did football. But at the same time, it's also kind of part of the reason why I'm moving up so fast. I already had a built-in fan base when I got into the sport. A lot of support and fans all over the country from the love the Tide. So football has been good to me.
I have long believed, some people ask me, I talk to, other guys at parties, whatever, and like, my fantasy team, all this stuff. I haven't watched 1/4 of NFL football this past year. I used to be a huge Bills fan. I just don't. I find the sport brutal. I find it hard to watch. I find it too dangerous. And then people say, like, what? You cover MMA. How could you possibly say that? Is very hypocritical. Am I crazy for thinking that football is a more dangerous sport than MMA?
No, you're not at all. I think football is way more dangerous than MMA. Even if you get knocked out in football, knocked out in MMA, it's just one time. Then you get up, you take a couple months off, let your body heal. But in football, you may not get knocked out, but you're constantly getting hit, especially if you play that D-line, linebacker, running back, offensive line position. Every play, it's a collision. And, your body doesn't appreciate that. You see guys at 30 years old who their career is done just because of all the hits, all the contact and whatnot. So, just look at the shelf life of the average NFL player, 3 to 5 years, if you're lucky. MMA guys, they can play for much longer, as long as they're not, one of those guys that play with their hands down and just chuck for the fences and take it to give it,
Why didn't you make it to the NFL? You had a great career, I think 7 tackles in the championship game, right, a few years back. Why didn't you make it, in your opinion?
Well, back then it definitely wasn't my choice.
Yeah.
They said I was too small or whatever the reason was. I got cut. Try to do the Canadian thing. They can only keep so many Americans per team. Played a year of arena football, and pretty much they said if it's not the NFL, then I don't want to play. So
no love for Canada,
huh? Done. What's that?
No love for Canada? It wasn't good?
I would have stayed, but once again, they gave me the axe. At no point did I say, I don't want to play football, until it was over with.
Okay.
The NFL said, no, get out of here. Canada said, get out of here.
Damn.
I, lived out, kind of got it out of my system that last year playing arena ball, and, went to the desk and, didn't enjoy that at all. So I just looked when it's walking to a gym here in Birmingham one day, just wanted to train, blew off a little steam, and they put me in the cage with in a boxing ring with Walt Harris and said,
that's great.
If you want to fight, go fight. I was like, man, I never said I wanted to fight. I just wanted to train, but whatever. I ain't a sissy, so I pretty much spent the next 10 minutes of the day, in the corner with my hands over my face. And
that's when you knew you loved it.
That was my first experience. I just knew that I didn't know anything, and so I enjoyed the struggle, especially with jiu-jitsu. Right, you can't ever learn everything, so I knew I'd have to start from square one. I'd have to, put my ducks in a row and whatnot. So, at first, like I said, I was just trying to train, and then 2 months later, I had my first amateur MMA fight.
And you say like a big MMA fight or a big college football game, you enjoy the MMA process more. Why is that?
Just because football, you have to depend on people.
Yeah.
Right. You have to worry about somebody missing a block or missing a tackle, throwing an interception, fumbling the ball, or whatever. When I get in the cage, it's just me and the voice of my coach, and I'm cool with that. That's why I perform. That's the way I like it. That way, if I drop the ball or I win, that was on my shoulders.
Okay. It's all you're doing. All the pressure is on you, and you seem to be rising to the occasion and performing well under the pressure. Do you think an event? It's been a while since they were in Birmingham. I think like in the early days, like the UFC's 3, 4, 5 days. Yeah.
6 or something like that.
An event headlined by Eryk Anders in Alabama. How would that do?
Man, it would do awesome. I think Deontay Wilder, the heavyweight champ. He sells the place out. I think I would sell whatever venue we fought. Me and Ellie got from the gym fought in Memphis for Bellator early on in my career, and so many people came. We sold a bunch of tickets and stuff, so I can only imagine what we would do if they came to Birmingham.
Yeah, that'd be huge. I'm assuming you saw Lyoto's fight against Derek Brunson, right?
I did. Yep.
Are you relishing the opportunity of maybe retiring Lyoto Machida?
Man, I don't. It's tough for me to say like that. I retired Hoppe on the tall. I was just the last guy to fight him. If it wasn't me, it'd have been somebody else. It'll be up to Lyoto to decide when he's had enough. Don't get me wrong. I'm definitely gonna try and go out there and take his head off. But if he retires, he retires. If not, then the legend continues.
Do you think he's past his prime?
He's 40. There's no 40-year-old walking the earth in their prime. Your prime is like probably 20 and 33. 25 and 33 or something like that. So he's definitely not in his prime, but I think he's still a formidable foe, dangerous. His chin may not be what it used to be, but Lyoto's got skills, man.
So it seems like they're kind of putting you on the fast track here. Do you think maybe this time next year we're talking about Eryk Anders in title contention? Do you think that that's a possibility?
Absolutely. Hopefully at the end of 2018. I like to stay active. I like to fight 4 or 5 times a year. So, I go out there and get 4 or 5 victories this in 2018. I don't think it's outside the realm of possibility to be fighting for a title.
So how long are you in Brazil for? And so is the training, are you kind of, doing your training camp now around your vacation, and then it will just kind of continue when you get back home to Alabama?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm training pretty much the same thing: jiu-jitsu, striking, strength and conditioning, all that other good stuff. I just linked up with Gotti Yamaguchi. That's not his name. Gotti, Bellator fighter.
Yamauchi?
John. Yeah.
Goichi.
So I just linked up
Goichi Yamauchi.
Gracie Barra.
Okay.
I just linked up with him, the Gracie Barra here in Curitiba. So tomorrow we're going to do a little strength and conditioning, some striking stuff, and then I'll finish the night off with some jiu-jitsu time.
Nice. That's not really like a real vacation. Like you're kind of still working, but I guess that's the life of a fighter.
Yeah, absolutely. My wife, she gets it. She understands, there's a lot at stake for this next fight. So she's cool with it. We were supposed to stay until January 3rd, come back January 3rd, but we're going to Vegas on the 27th for some press conference type stuff. So it'll be our first time in Vegas, so I'll enjoy that.
That's fun. So you're really getting the spotlight put on you, and then of course, then you'll continue the rest of your camp. By the way, you're doing well in pro MMA now. One thing that's not really a part of the culture, as opposed to boxing, is amateur MMA. Like you see some guys take a few fights here or there. You had 16 amateur fights, right?
I had like 23 or 24 amateur fights.
Why so many? You don't often see that.
Because I had JV level experience wrestling, and that is the extent of my combat sports experience. So, like I said earlier, I had to start from square one, and I knew once I turned pro, it's too late to go back and try and fix holes in your game. You can get better, absolutely, but if you just have like a glaring issue, a glaring hole, you're going to take 2 or 3 L's, and then before it's exposed. And then you have to work twice as hard, 3 times as hard to get where you want to go, which for me, the ultimate goal is that middleweight strap. So it definitely would be hard to get to the UFC, if I was 7-2 or, 6-3 or something like that. So I'm 10-0, looking to go, everything's looking good because I had a long amateur career.
So you would suggest to a young up and coming fighter to go the same route, to not be afraid of having a lot of amateur fights.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, unless, if you're a Division I All-American wrestler or you've already got pro boxing experience, fix the little holes in your game and then take it from there. But if you have 0 and you're 25, I think I was like 24, 25 when I started MMA, better to take your time. And, cause, I feel like it was going to happen fast. Me and my coach, Chris Conley, we knew, just because of the built-in fan base with Alabama, the Alabama fans, that this would probably happen pretty quick. 9 fights in or 8 fights in, we're in the UFC fighting Rafael Natal. So, I just wanted to make sure that I was well prepared for, the professional, to go pro and succeed in the UFC.
Forgive me for asking this, but considering your background, I feel like I have to. Have you seen any of Greg Hardy's amateur fights? And if so, what do you make of his performances thus far?
Man, I think he's going to be really tough to beat because he's so big and athletic. He's super raw right now. He's probably in the same position I was in when I first started. I think he's a little bit older than me, but, I think he's going to be good just because there's the athleticism in guys that big is rare, and I'm sure he packs quite a wall when he punches. So I'm sure with the right coaching, as long as he keeps the yes men away, I believe he'll have a prosperous MMA career.
Is this someone that you would welcome to your gym?
Greg Hardy?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely, man. As long as he's cool and he's not, I don't know him personally. Okay. Like I played against him. Like he played defense, I played defense. So we never saw each other. He played at Ole Miss. So, there's I don't know him personally. So, as long as he's cool, we don't really turn people away as long as they're cool and, they know how to train without trying to kill people.
Last thing, do you hear from a lot of your, former Crimson Tide teammates who are now in the NFL? Do they sort of live vicariously through you? Do they think it's odd? Like, do you get a lot of support from them as you go on your MMA journey as well?
Yeah, I was just talking to Mark Ingram the other day, and he was like, "Bro, if we don't go to the Super Bowl, then I'm coming." So yeah, Mark Ingram will be in Anders in Belem.
What?
And a couple of my other teammates who used to play and are still currently playing, pretty much the same thing. So there'll be a lot of Americans in Belem.
We need to figure out how to get Nick Saban cage side in Brazil. You think that's possible?
I don't know what he's doing. Well, probably not, man. That dude works so much. And February 3rd, recruiting and all that other good stuff. So, he's a tough guy to get a hold of.
Maybe you get that title fight in Las Vegas. That'd be a pretty cool thing to have him cage side supporting you.
He's going to have to come. He ain't going to have a choice about that.
Okay.
If he doesn't, it's going to be me and him after that fight.
Eryk, congratulations on all your success. It's an amazing story and pretty damn cool that you're getting this opportunity against Lyoto Machida in Brazil, of all places where he's from. Thank you for doing this on vacation as well. I appreciate it. And it's great to have you on the show. Thank you for making some time. I've been trying to get you on the show for months now. I appreciate you carving out some time for us.
Man,
I know you're very...
Stop lying. Oh, man.
Hey, by the way, why do they call you your boy? I always wondered about that. Why do they call you your boy?
That's just kind of the way I talk, man. I think it's funny. I kind of refer to myself in like the first person, like, grab that for your boy. Can you help your boy with this? Do this for your boy, And, the guys that do start to me that, and it just stuck. All
right. It's a great name. I mean, it's memorable, so that makes it a great nickname. Thank you very much, Eryk. All the best to you, and maybe we'll see you out there in Las Vegas for that press conference.
All right. Appreciate you, brother.
All right. There he is, Eryk Anders. Big fight for him against Lyoto Machida in a little less than 2 months' time, December 3rd.